Welcome into this latest edition of the Charleston County Connects podcast. I'm your host, Sean Smetana, and we are joined by a science guy, Thomas Van Koughnett, who is with, wait for it, the Tri-County Biological Science Center, which is opening in late January. Thomas, welcome to the show.
Thank you, sir. Please call me Tom.
Oh, Tom it is. Tom, what is your role with, we're just going to call it the Bio Lab for the remainder of this podcast.
Sounds great.
What is your role?
I'm the director of the laboratory.
Okay, so what does that include?
Supervising, all of the scientists, the managers, and kind of setting the strategic vision for how we're going to move forward for the remainder of the project.
Okay. And while we had fun with the name, this has been quite an undertaking. This is not just Charleston County. This is Berkeley County and Dorchester. All parties getting involved to create the biolab. And really, it's a very needed project. Explain why this has been so long in the making and the benefits for the public.
Sure. So this project started almost 20 years ago. And the original group was Solicitor Scarlett Wilson, former Sheriff Al Cannon, and former Coroner Ray Wooten. And for whatever reason, it didn't take off back then. But it kind of got restarted the last 3 or 5 years. And so here we are today trying to get across the finish line.
And if my understanding is correct, one of the challenges that we have in law enforcement and case management is simply getting the testing done to help expedite some of these cases. Where can the biolab help with that?
So yeah, that's really kind of the main purpose for us existing, is to expedite the process for the testing. Right now, some of the jails are overcrowded. They're waiting on results. And, these guys are waiting 3 to 5 years at times to get their DNA results. And we don't ever want that to be the reason that they're held up. So we're trying to expedite that, maybe hit a 60 to 90-day window for turnaround time. Mm-hmm. And if we're staffed the way we think we should be, then we'll be able to make that happen.
So how does it happen now? So there's a pending case, whether blood sample, a DNA sample. Where does that go right now?
So in meeting with all of our stakeholders across the region, it's going all over the place. Some folks send it to SLED at the state level. Some folks send it to other state labs outside our state. Some folks pay for private testing to get done, and that can be prohibitively expensive for some of the smaller jurisdictions. So It's really a widespread issue across the whole region.
And it's the simple fact is it's taking longer than perhaps it can. The other aspect of this, or obviously a large part of it, the DNA process. Sounds very technical. How would you explain it to somebody off the street who asks, what is the process for testing different samples and coming to a conclusion?
Sure. Yeah, it is a very technical process, obviously, and it's difficult for even us to communicate sometimes to courtrooms, with someone who has no experience. But long story short, we're going to start with a sample, and we need to extract that DNA out of the sample. We have to separate it from all the other cellular components and kind of purify that to get just the DNA we're looking for. That's the first step in the process. The second step is that we need to quantitate it. We need to know how much DNA we have before we start the remainder of our testing. Next, we have to amplify it. We're actually making millions of copies. And the reason we make so many copies is because we deal with sometimes minute samples of DNA, just a pin drop size blood stain, or, a trace sample where someone just happened to handle an item. So we need to make all those copies to get to the levels we need for detailed analysis. And the final step is actually measuring fragments of DNA. And so everyone, you get half your DNA from your mom, half from your dad, and that kind of gives you a unique DNA profile. Mm-hmm. So if I profile you and myself and say, a blood stain from a crime scene, I can say it's consistent with you or it's excluding me. So once we have all of that and we have a kind of consistent match, we're able to do statistics to kind of estimate how rare or common that profile is in the general population. And that can give it, specific weight onto how special or how unique that profile is.
Just another example how not only can you help the victims in these situations, you could potentially help somebody who was wrongly accused when their DNA marker shows that they were not at a location or scene. Does that make sense?
Absolutely correct.
Okay. This day and age, there are so many forensic shows on TV and movies. Which ones are the most accurate?
Yeah, some are better than others. Yeah.
Okay.
I would say forensic files. If you stick to kind of the Discovery channels of the world,
yeah,
opposed to CSI and on a primetime channel. We don't have any Hummers here at Charleston County or
Well, not yet,
Show up with sunglasses to a high rise, I wish it was like that, but no, it's not really the case.
Okay, but do you find yourself watching those ever?
Never. Yeah.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Yeah, no, I do it all day long. So in my free time, I'm usually watching sports or hanging out with my kids, not getting the latest of CSI's episodes.
Fair enough.
Yes, sir.
Go. How's it going to operate now once you and your staff are fully up and running? If you have a case that happens within the Tri-County, do you guys get first crack at help processing it?
So it's really up to the agency where they want to go, but we hope that they use us. But basically, it'll just be based off that incident date. Crime class and incident date are really what we look at. So if it's a homicide, that's obviously taking precedence over an auto theft. But we try to work those in the best we can, along with the more serious crimes.
And correct me if I'm wrong here. While the center is designed to help victims and to expedite what cases they're involved in, this can also help somebody who perhaps is in jail awaiting a result that may prove their innocence.
Correct. So that's kind of the beauty of the whole process is, the pendulum swings both ways. It can implicate or it can exonerate. And that's all dependent on the science and fact. And, we try to take all kind of bias out of the situation.
From your vantage point, while you've been with the county for a while, helping to get this center off the ground, describe some of the collaboration you've seen, because it's obviously the counties and providing funding for this, but there's also been a lot of law enforcement support, and not just from Charleston County, Dorchester, and Berkeley as well.
That's right. So kind of one of the things that drew me to the project in the first place was that regional model was already the intent of the project. Now, I've worked in other county labs, and we started as just working for one county, and eventually others came on board. And when that happens, you run out of space in your facility, you get overburdened, you don't have enough staff, you don't have enough budget, all these things. So the fact that this project started off with a regional focus and a new facility that's built for growth, that really positions us to meet the needs of the whole region, not just today, but into the future as well.
So this is definitely a 20,000 foot view question, but once you're fully staffed, how many cases do you think you can process in a given year?
Yeah, that's kind of the $1 million question. We went around to all of our stakeholders, talked to the folks at the state level, and kind of have a baseline idea. But I said so many factors play into that. Some folks are sending their DNA to private labs, some are going to the state. So we kind of have an incomplete picture of what the submission load is going to be. But on the DNA side, we hope to be able to handle 500 to 600 requests a year.
Okay.
At start, and we're just going to scale up based on if we receive more. It's very strict, kind of the numbers that a person can work in a year.
Yeah.
A DNA person can't work 300 cases on their own. It's usually about 100. So it's pretty simple math at the end of the day. If you get 600 requests, you need about 6 people. If you get 1,000, you need about 10. So
that's good math.
Yeah.
That's good math. You mentioned auto theft cases all the way up to homicide. What sort of different cases do you expect to see? Could it be really much just about anything?
Literally anything, yeah. We're trying to be a full service lab. We don't want to say we can't do a bone extraction or we can't do auto thefts or we can't do sex assaults. We're trying to be full service in any case type to make sure we meet the need of the region.
Okay. We're planning on that ribbon cutting to happen in January. What's the timeline look like after that happens to really get ramped up?
So from day one, it's been a 5-year project, and we're about 3 years in. The good thing is we're right on schedule. Construction was supposed to be wrapped by the end of year 3. And this next 2 years is going to be about a phase we call validation and accreditation. So the first year is validation. That's where we're running all different sample types, different users are using the instruments, and we're really putting them through the ringer to try to learn how they work. Once we do that, we can write policy, hire more people, train them on these policies, and then we apply for accreditation, and an external agency will come and evaluate us against a set of standards. So once we have that, then we're able to actually start working cases. So all in, we've given ourselves a 2-year window to accomplish all that.
Okay.
But another piece of the puzzle is the CODIS system. That stands for the Combined DNA Index System. We cannot even apply for CODIS access until we have an accreditation date. And when we get that date, that clock starts kicking, and it's about a 6 to 9 month window to get CODIS installed. So we tried to really, obviously we'd love it to go quicker than that.
Yeah.
We gave ourselves a little bit of wiggle room there because a lot of that's out of our control.
Okay. It actually sounds like the actual land and constructing the facility was one thing, but you guys You're about halfway there,
Yep.
and you got a lot to go down the road.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot to celebrate. It's a major milestone.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, we do have 2 years of pretty intensive work to get to where we want to go.
Okay. And for you yourself, it sounds like you've been doing this for a long time.
It's been almost 20 years now.
Okay.
Yeah.
How does one get interested in this sort of thing, and how have you seen that kind of drive your career?
So I started out as a criminal justice major. I went to Michigan State University back in East Lansing, Michigan. But I just happened to take an elective intro to forensic science, and loved the class, loved the professor, and he recommended that I switch to a hard science if I wanted to work in the field. So I switched from criminal justice to human biology, and the rest was kind of history. And we ended up actually having a family friend who did forensic work for the Indiana State Police.
Okay.
And he took me on a tour of their DNA lab at the time, and that just really solidified it for me. So
did some of that prior experience in some of these other labs help with kind of what you've gone through here?
100%. This is actually the third time I've started up a DNA unit.
Okay.
And they've all been at the county level. So the first one I was, the new guy, bottom of the barrel. And then my second one, I was kind of second in command. And now this third one, I'm out lead. So I've kind of scaled up the size of the project each time. And it's gone pretty well so far.
That's excellent. Yeah. And we'd be remiss if we didn't mention there was funding tied in from each of these counties to make that happen. So certainly a big thank you to the county councils, obviously here at Charleston County, Dorchester, and Berkeley, because they realized there was a need here, and they put true skin in the game. So we very much appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Tom, anything else the public needs to know? Anything else you wanted to add?
No, just we're excited, and we can't wait to get started.
All right. Tom, thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Welcome.